Welcome back to another video. So this time we're looking at an independent release for the Atari Jaguar CD. Now this game's called Alice's Mum's Rescue, which is kind of odd because it's got a lot of apostrophes in it. But it's a game that started off, I believe, as an Android game that got ported to the Dreamcast, Windows, and there's a Jaguar CD version. And this is the one that I purchased. The thing that's quite nice is that it also comes with the Windows version on the same disc. I mean, sadly, there isn't a Dreamcast version on there, but I suspect that's probably due to the way that the Jaguar and the Dreamcast boot being quite different, because you've got all the IP bin stuff on the Dreamcast. But it includes a ROM for the Jaguar version, like the standard Jaguar, which is kind of cool. Right. So, let's start new. You can continue the game if you've got a memory track, so it will save the game, which is quite handy. But the premise is the name of it is because it's based on Alice in Wonderland, and I can't remember very much about the story on whether you've got to rescue a mother or whatnot. I think that's more through the Looking Glass, maybe. I'm not sure. But this game is it's really meant to be a lot like really somewhere between an 8-bit game and a 16-bit game. So maybe something like a PC Engine game, and the graphics really do show that perhaps it looks more like an early Amiga game where you've got a fairly low colour palette. There's no fancy backgrounds or parallax scrolling. So this is the first time I've really played this, and so I'm just trying to get used to the controls. So there appears to be one button. Oh, the cats. Cats hurt you. Okay. I've watched a few videos of this, so it seems to be these mushrooms make you small. Maybe that's like Mario, maybe it's more like I think in Sonic CD where you get turned small. So it seems you can only bounce on them once. Don't know if you can swim or not. I'll not bother going down there. But yeah, this runs pretty well on the Jaguar. It's the frame rate. It's kind of odd to describe it for a platformer, but I would say the frame rate is 30 frames a second rather than 60 or 25, 50 because it's PAL. So it's not quite as smooth as it could be, not like a Mega Drive game, but it's certainly responsive. Okay, so what we're doing here, we've got a key. But yeah, it's nice to see. Is that working? Yeah, nice to see new games for the Jaguar, because there seems to have been a bit of what's the word? Renaissance, maybe, for the Jaguar, because the Dreamcast has had a lot of homebrew over the years, and I think that's been because it's been pretty easy to make your own discs, bootable CDs. But the Jaguar, there's been quite a lot on the CD drive, which is easy to manufacture, but there aren't very many units around. And that means that it's always been a little bit limited. But there's quite a lot coming out on cartridge now, which is nice. The only problem with that is the cartridges are quite expensive to manufacture, and that's always driven the prices up. I mean, there've been some really good titles coming out recently. The two that come to mind are will that cat hurt you? Yep. And all that. The games are Xenon 2 and Another World. Now Xenon 2, I believe, is one of those retargeting games, so there's been a few developments of people taking Atari ST games without source code, so it's a compiled version, and then doing almost like a ROM hack on it to make them work on the Jaguar, and that's really cool to see that. Whereas games like Another World, I think, have been rewritten from scratch, to use the hardware. So at least, you know, there are two different ways of getting games on the platform, but the cartridges are a bit pricey. So I'm hoping that once indie games on the Jaguar get maybe a bit more popular, the price of the cartridges will start to come down. Whereas, you know, this game was €9, if I remember correctly. I mean, it's probably a little bit cheaper because it's the same disc as the Windows version, but that's quite attractive for buying homebrew games. Whereas games that came out on the, you know, the Jaguar CD game, I'm thinking games like Robinson's Requiem, are really good commercial games that have been ported over quite late in the Jaguar's life, but they're still quite expensive, even on CD or cartridge. And I don't know if that puts a lot of people off. I'm not sure, but certainly for the I can't go through that. Certainly for the cartridge manufacturing, you can understand why they are expensive, because they cost a lot to manufacture. Yeah, I can get through there. But yeah, back to this game. Kind of a bit of a tangent there. Yeah, it's quite fun. I'm not sure if this does play like Mario or not, because when I saw it, I assumed it would play like Mario or the, is it Gianna Sisters, which was a good Amiga game. Maybe it's more like that. But you've really got to think about it. It's almost like, I'm thinking a little bit like Alien Breed, where you've got to manage your keys. So I'm wondering if it is possible to screw up if you use the wrong keys in the wrong places. I shouldn't have done that. I think I should have stayed in big mode. Wrong key. Can't go through there. Yeah, I've got the music turned down, the sound turned down quite a bit. I'm not sure if the music's coming off the CD or whether it's made by the sound chip on the Jaguar. Can't quite tell. That's close. Oh! I'm just trying to get used to the the timing and the patterns on the game. No, I think I needed to have been Big Alice. Yeah, I mean, this is quite fun. Question is it the best game on the Jaguar CD? Because there were only, I think there were about 13 games, if I remember correctly, for the Jaguar CD, and not very many at all. And yeah, I won't say they were bad, because you got games like Baldies, that was good. You got Hover Strike, that was a good game too. So is this better than those? I'm not sure yet. But certainly if you've got a Jaguar CD and you're looking for some more games for it, then yeah, I think this makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I don't know about the later levels on this, whether there's more variety, because I'm just looking at these now. I mean, this might be a little bit of a nitpick, but the levels are using a fairly small tile set. There's a lot of repetition in them visually. I mean, that might just be because it's a fairly simple game, which means it's easier to port, etc., etc. But I don't know whether things change later on. And the screenshots look a little bit different. I think we'll have to see by just playing the game a bit more. Ooh. Yeah, I don't know if there's like a Mega Drive version of this. I think this would be a good candidate for the Mega Drive. Because the Jaguar has got, well, I mean, it's famously difficult to program for, because it's got these DSP CPUs, but there's a Motorola 68K, which is the CPU in the Mega Drive, and the Amiga and the ST, which is what a lot of people used as the main CPU, and that's why it's easier to port these. I'll say port. They call it retarget these already compiled Atari ST games. But I don't know if this is using the 68K or not, because if it is, you'd think it'd be a lot easier to port it to Mega Drive, maybe. Uh-oh. Oh, this is going to be difficult. Oh, there we go. It's kind of odd that the cats get you when you're big and small. There we go. Yeah, you can hear it loading off the disc. Now, I don't know if the cartridge version's any different, but it says on the back of the box that it's a 6, is it MB, capital B? Yeah, MB, so 6 megabyte, which is pretty big for a ROM. So to take it to megabit, you times it by 8, and that's what you get. So yeah, oops, pretty large ROM size. Yeah, I think I'll leave it there. I'm quite enjoying this. I'm kind of just playing it in the background and waffling. It's quite nice to play. It's quite responsive, and it's one of those games that, you know, normally if you die and it's not your fault, or you miss jumps and such, and it's because of bad mechanics in the game, it's really frustrating. But with this, you do feel in control at all times, which is really nice to see. I mean, the gravity, you know, you just let go and she just drops straight down, which perhaps isn't the most advanced controls, but you do feel in control, which is nice. It kind of reminds me a lot of old Amiga games where you had these fairly simple jumping mechanics. Yeah. No, wrong key. Right, so yeah, I'll leave it there. So this has been Alice's Mum's Rescue on the Jaguar CD, and I think this is a good game. If you've got a Jag CD or you've got a Dreamcast, I'd recommend picking this up. It's not a terribly expensive game, and I think it's a good sign for, you know, things to come. If indie games can be around, you know, £10, €10 mark, then I'm sure they'll sell quite well. But yeah, good stuff. So thanks for watching.